Hey there, and happy Saturday. I'm doing a giant experiment. I've never been able to figure out how to angle my cameras so that I can do a cooking video for you, and I thought I'd give it a try today. It's a slower day. I know you guys are probably at the rink, but I wanted to show you how I make my banana bread. Now, on my Instagram channel, there are several different variations. This is the traditional variation with the exception of the sugar, which I'll explain when I go along. What I want to show you first is you start with 3 very ripe bananas. Now, I know a lot of skaters don't want to eat bananas that have freckles. They're afraid that they're going to be mushy. This is one of the bananas that had freckles. This is the other banana that had freckles. There's nothing wrong with them. They're still nice and firm. However, they're going to be a little bit sweeter tasting because they have the freckles. Now, this one in the middle, it was a lot more brown, so this one might be a little bit too mushy. But when the skin looks just like this, it's fine. It's just a little bit sweeter. So now I'm going to get my fork, which I didn't prepare. And you're going to mash your forks. This is my great-grandmother's banana bread recipe, and I love it. It's so super easy, and you can use it on a hockey day. You can make this for traveling in the car. It is super duper simple, and I don't even take out my KitchenAid mixer to make this. So you just mix it up really well. And I'll be adding eggs to this in a minute, so you'll see how it mixes even more. And there we go. That's good enough for now. And I've got my oven preheating to 350. Now I have 2 farm eggs that my neighbor gave me. She gave me 18 eggs. Now what I want to point out is when I taught nutrition, all of my students thought that brown eggs were more nutritious than white eggs. That's not true. It's the breed of the hen that determines the color of the shell. I've gotten blue eggs from friends, I've gotten green eggs from friends, and I've gotten speckled eggs from friends. So don't pay more for brown eggs in the grocery store unless you're paying more for, organic, farm-raised, cage-free. Maybe they've got a little bit more omegas in them. But just regular old brown eggs and white eggs, they're exactly the same. They're going to be about 80-90 calories, 6 or 7 grams of protein, round about, I think, 200 something milligrams of cholesterol, which is where the fat's going to come from in this recipe. So I just wanted to mention that. And always check 1 egg at a time before dumping it into your mix, because you don't want to open a bad egg and have to start all over and toss out your ingredients. And these are beautiful, and in they go. So you have 3 mashed bananas. You crack open and turn in 2 eggs. Now, if you wanted to make this more of a vegetarian style, you could use those just eggs. I've used them before in this mix. That worked out well. And almost to the consistency that I like. I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to talk about the dry ingredients. So in this bowl, I have, I'm afraid that's going to slip into the batter. In this bowl, I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 2/3 of a cup of sugar, about a half a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Now, you can use a sifter at home, but this is a lot. So what I do is I just use a whisker and I blend my ingredients or sift my ingredients this way. Sifting or whisking in a big bowl aerates the flour, makes it light and fluffy, and it also helps to evenly distribute the ingredients between each other. And then I should have done this in opposite bowls, but then I just dump this into my bowl. It's easier if you put your egg and banana in a larger bowl, but we're going to make this work today. Put that over there and mix this all up. And it's going to be a dough, so it's not going to be pourable. the difference between a dough and a batter is pourable and a dough holds its own shape. So you mix this up. And then I want to talk to you about the ingredients, because one of my favorite classes when I taught at East Carolina University, I taught basic foods, which was the beginning food class and cooking class for hospitality students and nutrition students. And I taught the lecture and I taught the lab, and that was so much fun. And I totally geek out on ingredient functions, what the different ingredients do in a recipe. And I've pre-prepped my pan, and I need my little spatula. This will work. So while this is a non-stick pan, I did buy it for 69 cents at the Goodwill. So of course I brought it home and washed it really well when I bought it. I like to use margarine to lightly grease my pans, because margarine does not have any milk fat in it like butter. Milk fat in butter will burn. So if you've ever noticed, if you've used butter in a pan when you're sauteing and the heat gets too high, or you've cooked too long, you're gonna see that there's a lot of burning, because that milk fat will, the milk ingredients, because there's sugar, natural sugar in milk, will burn. So there we have it. The dough is going to look right about like this. And this is not a cooking show, so I don't have one that's already done to pull out of the oven. I'm going to put this in the oven. It's going to bake for, I'm going to check it at 45 minutes in my oven. And then I'm going to talk a little bit more about the ingredients. I'm going to angle this up so I can see you guys. Don't know if anybody's watching or not. Hey, Vicki! Happy Saturday. So, yes, oopsie. Go away. So, welcome to my kitchen. I live in a 1953 house in the university area in Greenville, North Carolina. I love it. We're close to everything. But it was rental property for 20 or 25 years before we bought it. And obviously, as you know, as hockey parents, when your kids are going to private school and they're playing hockey, you don't put money into your house. So I'm finally in the position where we can start expanding. And pretty soon I will be broadcasting to you all from my office. But right now this is my kitchen. It's perfectly functional. So I want to talk about my ingredients. So I mentioned the recipe calls for 2 cups of flour. I use King Arthur all-purpose flour. I'll tell you why. My mom grew up in Lexington, Massachusetts, and one of her best friends when she was a child was Bobby Sands. It was the Sands company that started King Arthur flour. So when I was growing up, we only had King Arthur flour in the house because she wanted to continue to support the Sands family. Well, along the way, the Sands family sold the company to somebody else. I don't know who owns it now, but I continue to support King Arthur. The really cool thing about flour is that if you're using wheat flour, it's going to have protein in it. So if you look at a piece of banana bread, you might think it doesn't really have a lot of protein in it. But I want you to take your wheat flour out of your cupboard and look at the ingredients. You will see this is all purpose. It's not bread flour. Bread flour is going to have even more protein in it. You will see that 1/4 cup of flour has 4 grams of protein in it. So 1 cup has 16 grams of protein. So the 2 cups that I added to my recipe are bringing 32 grams of protein to the mix. So then we add the 2 eggs, and each egg is going to add about 6 or 7 grams of protein. So that's about 12 or 14. You add that to the 32, and 32 plus 14 is 46. So you've got a mix right there that has 46 grams of protein in it. So each one of these slices of bread, and I usually get about 10 to 12 slices, it might have about, I'm not using my calculator right now, 3 or 4 grams of protein in it. And then if you add some peanut butter on top, which is what I love to do, you're going to be adding even more protein. And then you could have it with a glass of milk, you could have it with soy milk, You could even have it with a protein smoothie. And as a quick, big meal, I would say in the 3 to 4 hour window, because that's going to be a lot of protein. And even though it's a smoothie, your body's going to need, your skater's body's going to need time to digest it. Now, the sugar, the original recipe called for 1 cup of sugar. I experimented with it. I dropped it to 3/4 of a cup. That was a good recipe. Then I went ahead and I dropped it to 2/3 of a cup. So what I want to share with you, and this recipe has 2 cups of flour, 2/3 of a cup of sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, and then however much cinnamon you want to add, if you even want to add cinnamon. But what one of my other favorite courses besides the basic foods class was the senior experimental foods class, and I taught the lecture in the lab for that, mostly the lab, but one summer I got to teach the lecture, and that's all about how you alter recipes and you still get a quality product. So you can drop your fat in a recipe or your sugar in a recipe by 25% and not impact the quality of the product. Now, I warn you, I would not adjust the flour and the fat at the same time. That is going to give you a product that you might not be too crazy about. So when I'm working with recipes, if I'm adjusting the fat, I'll only adjust the fat. If I'm adjusting the sugar, I'll only adjust the sugar. I do not try to impact the sugar and the fat at the same time. So this recipe is even more than 25% reduced with the sugar being at 2/3. Obviously the bananas are going to provide wonderful carbohydrates and a fantastic amount of potassium. Like I said, the eggs are going to provide more protein, and it's also going to help by adding more nutrients. I don't have them all in my head, but eggs are great, provide a lot of nutrients. If you like to eat them, if you don't, that's fine. Literally after chemo, I'm a breast cancer survivor, so Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I battled breast cancer from August of 21 through June of 22, chemo, surgery, and radiation. Deciding to keep my hair short, if you're wondering. If you knew me when I had lots of long hair, I like it short now. But the eggs are good. Now, what I want to tell you about the sugar, some people might be thinking, well, why can't I use like stevia? You can give it a try. The reason why you have sugar in a baked product is sugar actually impacts the temperature at which eggs will coagulate. So I think it raises the temperature. Yeah, it raises the temperature at which eggs coagulate. And what that means is your product has a longer time to reach its full volume before the egg protein sets up. Once the egg protein sets up, you're not going to get much more volume at all. So that's why there's sugar in there. Now, I'm not aware if stevia or any other artificial sugar react the same way. I personally don't use any artificial sweeteners. I don't use any artificial fats, with the exception if I'm trying to make a vegan dish. But I'm very allergic. My gut does not like artificial sweeteners. It makes me very, very uncomfortable, and I can tell immediately by the taste. And then if I miss it on the taste for whatever reason, I can tell a few hours later on, because my gut and my stomach, I'm just blown up like a drum and very, very uncomfortable. What else did I want to tell you about this product? So aside from the fact that I love it, you could also take this batter and you could use a portion scoop. I'm not going to take time to get my mini muffin tin, but you can take a portion scoop and you can scoop the batter and you can drop them into mini muffin tins. And my muffin tin will make 20 mini muffins at one time. So when we would go on hockey trips, everybody would always ask for my mini muffins because we carpooled to save money and we shared hotel rooms to save money. And I would make the banana mini muffins, and I would also make my oatmeal and chocolate chip mini muffins, and the skaters would just gobble them down in the car on our trips. And these were like long trips, like when we went to Charleston, South Carolina, which is about 5 or 6 hours for us, or if we were going to the Virginia Beach area, which is about, I think, 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours. I never rushed it. I always left with tons of time to spare so we could take our time. So yeah, hey Jen, thanks for watching. I hope Nathan's doing well this weekend. I don't know if he's got games or not, but so I hope you liked this cooking video. If you liked it and you could see what I was doing, I will do more. There's dinner recipes I could show you how to make, breakfasts, all different kinds of things. So make it a fantastic day, and I'll post a picture when my banana bread comes out of the oven. It's got another 36 minutes and 31 seconds to cook. So it's going to vary. The amount of time that you cook in your oven is going to vary. You know, if you've got a gas oven, it's going to be a different time. If you've got a convection oven, which actually circulates the air around the baked product, that's going to be a different time. But this is just your regular old electric oven, and it's right about 45 or 50 minutes for this oven for me. And you want to put a toothpick in several different spots and make sure it comes out clean before you take it out and cut it up. And I will give you a tip. I particularly like to make my slices as uniform as possible. And what I have found is that I put my bread on a cookie rack, and I place it long ways, and I place my bread the other way. And then when I'm going through, I can use the slats as a guide for trying to get my bread slices as uniform as possible. And I do that because if I go back in and I do an evaluation of the ingredients and ingredient analysis to figure out, you know, how much carbs, fats, protein, all that good stuff is in a recipe that I'm working with, I like to make sure it's portioned really well. The same reason for using a portion scoop if you want to do your portioning out your batter into muffin size. And then I have another one that's super small. This would take probably 2 or 3 scoops to get in a good sized muffin, but I highly recommend using this recipe as mini muffins too. So Kendra, Keith, oh God, I don't have my glasses with me. Thanks for watching, everybody. And like I said, I'll post a picture of what the final product looks like. Have a happy Saturday. Happy skating.